Through the Gates is produced under the support of the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management to enhance, promote, and defend the North American model of wildlife conservation and responsible wildlife management. That's our mission. We're engaged in fighting at every level so that wildlife management remains science-based and conservation continues to work for our wildlife. To learn more and join the movement, visit SaveTheHuntColorado.com. The North American model of wildlife conservation is the greatest conservation model in the world. It's a success story that should be shared and celebrated because everybody is a part of it. So we got another episode of Through the Gates to Save the Hunt. And we are here at the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission meeting in Pueblo, Colorado, mid-August, getting ready for the state fair. We had a great big CWCP reception and meeting yesterday, the Colorado Wildlife Conservation Project. And I'm here with a great friend of mine, Jenny Burby, who is the president for the Colorado Outfitters Association. And Jenny and I serve on a bunch of different boards and panels and have been friends for quite a while. But we wanted just to take a little bit of time, and we've been trying to get her in studio unsuccessfully. Some things didn't work out for travel accommodations and so forth. I think you got sick at one point or time.
Yeah, you evicted me when I said, I think I'm running 102.
Yeah.
I'll come over.
Yeah, so we decided we weren't going to go that route. But we're in a little bit of a transition right now because we're in the process of getting our studio done. And the Bobby Marshall Mountainside Podcast Studio is being refurbished, and Bobby's on the road doing some of his regular work for some of the big rock bands and some of the great big, I guess, pop rock bands that he does work for. But Jenny, appreciate you taking the time. I know we're spending a bunch of time together. We've got dinner tonight and such, but give us a little bit of rundown of who you are, what you do, and the business side of what you're doing, and we'll just get into some of the conversations about what we've been working on.
Well, I am Jenny Burby. I have been in the outfitting industry basically all my life. All of my adult life, it has been the only career that I have had. My husband and I run a horse-oriented pack business in southwestern Colorado and have for over 30 years. And we've been members of the Colorado Outfitters Association that entire time. The Colorado Outfitters Association is a professional organization of industry folk who want to promote hunting, fishing, and recreation in the state of Colorado.
How many members in the association?
We average between 100 and 120.
But most of those are probably, for the most part, big game outfitters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for
There's
the most part.
Fishing guide outfitters or somebody.
Fishing guides, for the most part, the big game is what has driven the industry and driven the agency with funding. So it's taken a lot of focus. We're seeing fishing come up, and we're seeing more interest in people being members, which of course they're welcome, and that need is arising as well.
So how long you been in the business?
37 years.
And you're in the process of maybe looking at other options in your life that some because of the cycle of attrition, some because of opportunity.
Yes. No, we're looking at, we're being real. Our youngest was always of the thought that she would take over the business. And when she was 17, she kind of started thinking a little bit longer and went, wait, I want to do this stuff for fun, but I want more money. Mm-hmm. So decided to go look at greener pastures, and we started looking around at ourselves and going, all of a sudden we're starting to age, and do we want to keep doing this? Yes, we want to keep doing it. Should we keep doing it? It's probably time to get some new blood in for the big physical aspects of what we do.
If you were to give any advice to anybody at this particular time that they decided, 21 years old, I want to be a big game outfitter. Mm-hmm. Given the way Colorado and the West has changed, is there any immediate advice that you would give somebody?
That's a loaded question. Mm-hmm. The first advice I would give is I figured out a long time ago why I liked the work. And I like the work because at the end of the day, you feel more alive than anything else I can imagine. And that's generally on the crappiest days, the days that start at 4 o'clock in the morning and don't end until 11 o'clock, and it's rained and it snowed. And maybe you got a half a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and you had this and that, and everything goes on. You packed multiple animals, you've taken multiple into the process, or you've just had one of these big days. But at the end of it, you get to go, wow, I just did that. Mm-hmm. And you don't have there isn't the ability to interact with a lot of people that have those types of life experiences. It's a very small minority in the scope of all society, and it's 100% worthwhile. But at the same time, don't expect to get rich. Don't expect to, you want to be independent and gritty and an entrepreneur. But at the same time, you got to look around and go, we are in a small group with a mighty big shadow, and we have to protect that shadow, and we have to work on that shadow.
Do you think the outfitting industry has changed so substantially in the last 20 years that it would almost be unrecognizable now compared to what it was 20 years ago?
In some ways, yes. But I think on the whole, no. I think what has changed is the world that we're living in. Mm-hmm. My job in and of itself has really not changed much. Clientele changed. Clientele passed away. And have in some cases been backfilled by a little slightly different type of clientele, little different focuses. But on the whole, what's really changed is that we're just living in a different world. It's more crowded. There's more
recreation.
The recreation is what I was thinking. I'm like, there's just more people out there. It used to be 20 years ago, first day of general archery season would open, and the woods it was hunting season. You didn't have people out there wholesale showing up. Now, as seasons are warmer, as there's less heavier weather, you're getting people recreating on a given Wednesday, the first in second season, the busiest season in the state. Mm-hmm. And people are out walking their dogs and going fishing and going hiking and doing their thing.
Because the outdoors were given to them unexpectedly, and a lot of that's mm-hmm. through the cycle of attrition of outdoor recreation and get outside and get outdoors. But COVID had a significant component.
COVID had a significant spike. The reality in our lifetimes, look at how gears changed.
And utilization of tools.
Of tools, better raincoats.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Better raincoats that allow you to be active and do things in a more comfortable way. And you can go to REI, you can get it on Amazon, and things show up, and it brings more and more people into the areas that we're trying to share.
Do you get guys hunting in blue jeans and blue jean jackets and flannel shirts anymore?
I do, but that's because I do.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So they're trying to emulate the outfitter.
Well, and because you end up clients that like us, we like them, and we're just like-minded. Mm-hmm. And my style is, I like wool, I like plaid, mm-hmm. And that's how I live. So the clients that like us tend to have those same type.
But a lot of people think that they have to have the new shiny object. You have to have this gun and this sleeping bag and this mm-hmm. camo and this set of binoculars and this scope and mm-hmm. this ammunition and this set of boots.
Yeah.
Because the industry itself has done a really, really good job of promoting themselves mm-hmm. to a consumer that sometimes has been maybe not brought up into this like you and I have, or like others.
I think that really is it, right? If you didn't grow up doing this, you're learning it secondhand. It's not the easiest thing on the planet.
Yeah.
It's just not. Mm-hmm. But if you can buy something that maybe does make it easier, and maybe it does give people, depending on what the tool is, that may be the thing that made them successful. Because they get
not necessarily an advantage, but made it easier. You talked about the rain gear. Mm-hmm. Made it easier to weather a storm and not get so flippin', just soaked to the bone because we were wearing a plastic bag or a poncho that you were just as wet on the inside as you were on the outside just because you sweat.
Whoa, and going, I'm okay being that little bit of cold,
Mhm.
and I'll just move a little bit.
Mhm.
I would rather do that.
Yes.
But I'm one who sits down and then I'm like, okay, I'm asleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not good at that.
Exactly. Exactly.
But if I'm a little cold, I want to move a little,
Yeah.
just a little bit.
But the majority of your camps for the majority of your life have been via horseback.
Yes.
I mean, it's packing in, packing out,
Yeah.
living currently.
Mhm.
In the last several years, I mean, you don't necessarily set a camp up and stay in the camp with the people.
No. So our business model changed 7 years ago, and we now operate all of our camps as drop camps. Before that, we spent 25 years running guided, semi-guided, and drop camps all at the same time. But what we found was, just from a business standpoint and from a customer service standpoint, we could be the ones servicing the camps on a smaller group, less employees, less stock, and giving a stronger quality product and customer service product to everybody by doing that.
But it takes a different hunter to be able to do that too. Some
Yes.
people want to be coddled and babysat, or maybe they're not familiar with the process, or they're not as confident in their skills or their accessibility to the great outdoors. Do you see people that once they go to a drop camp that they want to continue to be in a drop camp because they become more self-sufficient?
We have found that.
Yeah.
We have found that. And we do, I mean, our customer service model, we give them a lot of information. We give them a lot of hints and access and thought and written map and all the information that they can do to keep themselves as successful as possible. We do a lot of pre-prep during the season and before the season to get them in the best possible position. We don't have that. We also consequently don't have that many, first and second timers. They, I'm going to suggest to them when they call or when they email, hey, well, let me find you something that's fully guided. Let you go out, get your feet wet, understand whether it's an area, a species, put them in a position to get a little more experience. And then when they have a little bit more experience and they feel like they want to be more on their own, then that's what we do.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So going back to what I was saying, the type of hunter that you have now is different than what you had 25 years ago. You mentioned that to some degree, but how have they changed?
So over the course of our business, we've had now we are going on 3 generations, which is kind of fun. And we've lived as the general age of the hunting public aged. And we are seeing now people that are they approach hunting almost more as an endurance sport. They do a lot more physical training. They do a lot more, not necessarily mental prep, because we've always had that. It's just different now. There's my thought process, my thinking on it is that they're a little bit, I don't know how to describe it. You're going to have to edit this a lot. 30 years ago, our hunters would sight their guns in, maybe look over a couple maps, and think about their hunt. It was in their head. Now there's a lot more talk where I'll talk to guys while I'm going through the grocery store, changing irrigation water, whatever, talking to them on the phone, and they're saying, oh, where is this? I'm on Google Earth, and I'm doing that Google Fly thing with them verbally while they're navigating on their computer so they can get in and look at aerial photos.
And some of that's because they're not guided trips.
Correct.
So they're trying to prepare themselves.
Yeah.
And you're coaching them along through the process like a virtual Onyx Hunt app or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then they're also physically, a lot of our clients, a lot of the do-it-yourselfers, they don't have a lot of time. Like they're primarily non-resident. They can't come out to scout all the time, but they are prepping at home physically so that they show up here and they are in the best shape of the year coming in for their hunt.
Really?
Mhm.
And then it's typically they come in your situation, they come in, they dump all the gear, you start to pack them up and get them into a camp. And how far back in are they going?
An hour and a half on horseback from the trailhead is our closest camp, and our farthest is about 3.5 hours.
So that's what, 4 to 7?
5 to 12 miles.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for somebody that hasn't ever done a drop camp before, this thing's it's less expensive than a fully guided trip.
Yeah.
And is it more satisfying, more resourceful for people to turn around and say, I did this myself? Or do you find people that did it once and said, screw that, I'm going a guided way. That's the way I want to do it.
There's always a few that will try it and go, oh, this didn't work. That's not what their cup of tea is. But primarily for us, we get people and we've got a 70 to 90% return rate. It's the same guys. Sometimes they're on an every year cycle, every other year cycle, every 3-year cycle. The last 5 years, now 6 years, since there's been some relatively significant draw changes, some of that has changed for us, just because people were maybe hunting with us every year, every other year, while they were looking for one of the higher quality trophy units. That's not to say that where we are is not high quality, but it's not as sexy.
Right. Some of the challenges you've had to deal with over the course of your career on maybe land use, or maybe fire restrictions, or maybe parks and wildlife or division of wildlife restrictions or prohibitions. It's not like you're just willy-nilly. You have to comply with a lot of different things.
Yeah, we're extremely regulated, and most people don't know that.
Yeah.
We basically are touched by almost every state agency in one form or another, and we narrowly skim around others just because.
To be legal, you have to be licensed, bonded, and insured.
Correct.
And then you have to be that's through the Department of Regulatory Agencies. And the insurance, is that based upon you just being an outfitter, or you do a horseback outfitter, or how does that go?
So your exposure is based on what types of services you offer. So horses, if they're guided, if they're non-guided, what your numbers are, those will increase your premiums. If you operate on public or private land, what types of public or private land affect your premiums for your insurance and your aggregate. So what you're required to carry as a whole to also cover, like most outfitters that are operating on public lands have to have a relatively high aggregate, because we have to co-insure the federal government, as well as having the permit from the federal government.
Which you have to pay for. It's not just the permit. You have to pay a certain amount of your gross.
Yes. Yeah, you pay a certain amount of gross. You pay a certain amount for your designated camps. And then if animals are grazed, there's multiple fees that will go along with it. Also, in the state of Colorado, for the most part, you're not just going to be able to go into any Forest Service office and go, hey, I want to do this, give me a permit. Almost straight across the board, the only way to procure a permit in the state of Colorado now is to purchase an existing business.
Really?
Yep. And with the...
So there's a cash value to some of that, but only in the sense to where it's something you've already previously established.
Correct.
In that geographical area. So they might be wanting to expand their business or services. But when you get into a checkerboard effect and you've got BLM and forest and private, how the hell does that work when you're trying to turn around and work with, I mean, do you get first come, first serve? If you got the forest permit, you get the first opportunity at BLM permit?
Well, sometimes yes, but not as a letter of law or not as part of a handbook. Because if those have been owned by separate companies or separate personal businesses, then there'll be some, there can be some negotiating. If it was a singular permit at one point, you have a better chance of getting that for both.
So the average guy that wants to say, he just eeny, meeny, miny, mo, throws a dart at the board and says, I'm going to go to Hesperus or Breen, and I want to go with Jenny Burby with Highlands Unlimited. I don't know anything about them. There's a hell of a lot of work on the front side that the hunter should be aware of, that the
Oh, yeah.
outfitter has to do to comply and to make sure that things are ethically managed and morally upstanding and legally bound.
Yeah.
And that you're adhering to not just the laws, rules, and regulations of the hunt, but things from latrines or things from grazing or things from picket pins and whatever you decide to do.
High lines and tree savers and flooring in tents. And if springs can be plumbed to protect the supply, whether that has to be torn out every year. Is it fenced because there happens to be a grazing allotment along the top of that? There's a lot of different pieces, and all of those have a regulatory component. Every single piece.
Over the course of time, that's had to become increasingly challenging.
Oh yeah. No, when in the 80s and 90s, you look in hindsight, you look back and you're like, God, it was awesome. You could do anything you wanted. You called up and you're like, hey, I want to do this. And your ranger would be like, okay, great. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that would be in writing and sometimes it wouldn't. But as time has gone on, and frankly, as recreation has increased, and we've got almost 90 million people that visit the state of Colorado every year. Yep. That includes clients. Mm-hmm. But with the increase in use, that comes with it an increase in responsibility for both the managers and the service providers. And what we've noticed, especially the last few years after COVID, a lot of the land management agencies, the only thing that they actually have the ability to organize or control or manage any recreational impacts is through the commercial side and curtailing days for outfitters.
They can't really stop people from getting into the field, right, unless you're the stopgap.
Right now we're the only stopgap for the big picture.
Yeah, to deal with the paid client dealing with paid permittees, mm-hmm, to be able to do the work on the forest land or the BLM land. Right. Do you see a receptiveness from the federal agencies to work with individuals, or has that gotten to be more stringent over the last 10 or 15 years?
Depends on the district.
Really?
Very much so.
And
their leadership and what they've got going on in their own.
And you say district, does that mean like forest, like Route National Forest versus Rio Grande National Forest, or is it a complete district where multiple forests might be engaged in?
So for Forest Service, they will have Route, San Juan, Uncompahgre. San Juan has 3 different districts.
Well,
so it's Dolores, Columbine, and Pagosa. Each district has a ranger which has autonomy. They have general guidelines and a handbook to follow, mm-hmm, but they have autonomy in their decision making. So you can have 3 districts that have the same rules that get applied differently. And you can, as an operator, you could have permitted days in all of those districts and have to adapt to each changing.
Do you think the rules and regulations now from a state, a federal, and regional level, are they in the best interest of the permittee and the paying client and the resource? Mm-hmm. Or do you think that there's hitches in the giddy-up?
There's hitches in the giddy-up.
Is there?
Yeah. I think probably to a person, I will give them that they are trying to manage the resource, and it is overly loved by many. And because of that, it is overly used by many. Mm-hmm. Because of my personal paradigm, I think I'm accountable. My industry is accountable. So if we are doing something that is outside of the rules or outside of that, there's discipline and retribution that's available. Whereas if we don't have us in that gap providing services, the general public isn't accountable. I can't tell you how many times we are packing trash. We are running somebody else's trash. And helping them when they're lost, helping them when they're hurt. I've been asked to put horses down. And because we're the first point of contact, because we're there. At the same time, when permits transfer, the only thing that the what the Forest Service managers can do and BLM managers can do is curtail the commercial user days to allow what they perceive as new room for other recreation.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because some people don't realize that maybe your access to a particular permit or piece of property, it might be, and I'm hypothesizing here, but it might be 21 user days as just an example.
Yeah.
But that could be, so if you had 5 clients, that would be 4 days essentially, plus one left over.
Yeah.
How do they establish the user days when you're talking individual people?
So the user days are counted by the paid day in the forest or on the forest. How they estimate how many will be in outfitting and guiding permits, they do a commercial study of basically what the commercial demand is. A certain amount of the public. Well, the only reason that we're allowed and have the option of working on federally owned ground is because the general public wants the services.
But they mandate how many user days you have, but there could be 15,000 people stop at the trailhead and then turn around and walk in on top of the trail that they have no regulation, no oversight, no management of whatsoever.
No. And in a lot of cases now, especially, they don't have the manpower to even be counting most of those.
What about trails? See, part of the subject matter that we often talk about at different levels, and people say, how do you know these questions? Well, I've been around this crap for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have a little bit of a background or institutional knowledge on some of this stuff. Trail maintenance is up to whom?
Well, it's up to the agency that manages. It is under the umbrella of the agency that manages that ground. So Forest Service is in charge of the trail system on the Forest Service ground. BLM also has the same thing. State has the same thing. Let's talk about, we won't talk about federal or state designation, but we'll talk about wilderness and general public ground. So wilderness is horse and foot travel only, crosscut saw and axe only. So any access through for country into the wilderness and into roadless areas has to be opened. There's a federal, it's a cartoon because it's like stick figures, but it's an 8x8 or a 10x10 box, depending on which district you get it from, with a designation of what the tread is for the trail. And that's trees cut, brush cut, the tread done. Used to be water bars. Now they're using different swale work to release water from a trail system. And for a long time, and I can say this from personal experience, for a long, long time, Forest Service actually contracted a lot of wilderness work out. And then in the early 2000s, a lot of that contracting started stopping as it was costing the contractors so much to follow all of the labor laws. This is what you pay a truck driver. This is what you pay a groundskeeper, which was the only thing we had for trails. And it got to a point where they weren't able to get all, with the given budget, they weren't able to get all of their trail work done. My husband and I did trail work for years and years for the Forest Service. We did packing for USGS and trail work for the Forest Service. We did 260 miles of trail every summer, all cross-cut and axe. If you ever want to test a marriage, or before you marry somebody, run a cross-cut saw. If you can figure out how to do that, you will figure out how to do anything.
You can back trailers, you can turn around and cook dinner or whatever.
Yes, but a cross-cut saw the misery whip will teach you how you're going to deal through conflict.
I mean, you can't use chainsaws in the wilderness areas.
Nope. Can't use wheels in the wilderness area.
So like a packing cart with a handle?
No wheels.
You can't use that.
No, it's mechanized.
It's a wheel in a wilderness area. So anybody who's watching that, make sure you don't bring a wheel.
Yeah, when you get the game carts.
Yeah.
Great idea. Not legal.
Not legal in the wilderness area.
Legal up to the sign. But that's it.
Really? I guess it'd be better to carry it like that, but not with the wheel on it. Be like us carrying for in that show, we had to turn around, no wheels on the floor.
Yeah,
we had
exactly.
we had to take the cart in with
I'll
our goods
drag
on
it.
top of it. No wheels on the floor. Luke says, screw it. We'll just turn around and carry the cart.
Exactly.
That's what you get for the union side.
But I'm a packer at heart, so I'm like,
No, that we could do that.
yeah, I'm like, I don't care. I'll put it on a horse or a mule.
No, Luke said we ought to get a travois when we're turning around and going there. We just drag it across like the Native Americans used to do. So talking about challenges, with 84 million visitors, 90 million visitors, 5.9 million people, and in some cases a declining deer and elk population, winter kill, predation. You hear it all the time now, but
general pressure.
Yeah, biodiversity and ecosystems and fire suppression and
drought,
blah blah blah. Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge that you've had to deal with in the last 5 years to sustain your business and to be able to provide a quality product or service?
Plain and simply, maintaining non-resident license availability.
Because a lot of your customers are non-residents.
Mike, I literally, between 60 and 80 hunters a year, depending on the year, we have 4 that are residents. They're good long-term clients, but they are 4.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And what it used to be?
Same.
It's always been very, very minimal.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the populations of deer and elk that have declined, then your numbers of resident or numbers of non-resident licenses have continually gone down?
Well, for our specific personal situation, for the statewide, yes. For our specific personal situation, no. It's been things changing to draw. And as they change to draw, even though I happen to pay attention, so I prep our clients as they're coming. I'm like, hey, you're going to want to get ready for this. Right. We're looking at probably the next 5-year plan, get them going. Well, by the time things did start going draw, the clients were like, well, now I've got like 5 points and I'm thinking I might do this and that. Well, what are you going to draw on? I'm like, my guess is nothing, but I actually don't know. Like, I'm not.
You could or couldn't.
Yeah. I can't tell you definitively what's going to happen come May. And a lot of people didn't necessarily want to play that game.
Do you think the expectation of people in today's day and age is more often than not, I'm buying the service that will provide me with a product, a result, besides an experience or a happy interaction? They're looking for something other than that happy experience.
I think that's why they're shopping for outfitters, right? Is they're looking for a success rate. They're looking for another thing that might make it easier or better or whatever their paradigm is. But my biggest job as an outfitter and as a salesperson for my business is managing expectations.
So I've guided a bunch for other people and I ran camps. And so you become, and I use these terms often, mediator, moderator, litigator, arbitrator, therapist, coach, enforcer, any other adjectives and names, nouns that you'd like to say?
Sometimes it's fairy godmother, packing fairy bitch. Yeah, you get to wear a lot of hats. As a woman in this industry, I get to wear a lot of hats.
Yeah, because you've been doing it a long time, you got the reputation. I mean, reputation from your peers to be able to be the president for the Outfitters Association. So that shows what you've been able to accomplish as far as respect and accolades, in the industry. But do you think that the majority of people don't recognize how difficult it is for you to provide a service that is quality? If
you're doing a good job, yes, they will not recognize it.
If you're doing a bad job.
If it's instant.
Yeah, when we used to guide, I mean, as long as we had an opportunity to see game and good food and good company and decent accommodations, we could
good sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Good sleeping bag, good boots.
Because we've had experiences where somebody killed a 30-inch buck
Mhm.
or a 6.325 bull
Yeah.
that had not as good of experience as what they had wanted, and they bitched and groaned and complained, and they ended up with a quality product.
Yeah.
But they were looking for something more than that, and try to mix that and cross-pollinate people's expectations is increasingly difficult in today's day and age, because they can pick up their phone and look and see what everybody else is doing and how much better it is out there.
Yeah.
And by God, I was one of the ones that didn't, meet my expectations,
Yeah.
or I wasn't successful.
Well, I think that's why I said I think that the biggest thing an outfitter can do for a client is help the client manage their expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's bringing them down. Maybe it's as simple as, this is what you can expect.
Right.
If it's an archery hunt drop camp, I go, we've had 5 years now where we've been 15% success. Over 30 years, it's only been 10 on the drop camps. And I'm going, not quite ready to say 15%,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't feel like it's been steady enough to do that. I have not had enough of a track record at that higher success rate for me to be like, yeah, that's where it's going to be this next year. And there's so many variables, you can't do that. But I can manage the expectations. I can tell people exactly what to expect, and I can give them as much information as I possibly have to help them make good decisions on and utilize their energies in the best possible
But
way.
you talked about some of your third generation people coming in and coming back and
Mhm.
and sharing it with families and stuff.
Mhm.
That's had to be from a quality experience.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're not coming back because you treated them like crap and they didn't kill anything.
No, but like that family, they happen to be a large family from West Virginia. They're awesome. We've had a couple of them guide for us over the years. We have a lot of interaction. They're family and friends. And I've asked them on years when I've been like, God, the conditions are just so hard. And hunts it's too hot, it's too cold, there's too much snow, there's not enough snow. You name it. You throw in all of those pieces. Everybody in the camp had the flu, whatever it is. And
That's probably your fault too.
well, I'm an outfitter, so it's all my fault. That's a given.
Uh-huh.
But when I've talked to them over the years, and say it's an exceptionally bad year, and it's just really hard, and it's really hard on everybody.
Mhm.
And I'll ask them, I'm like, did it really change? Like, I maybe am too close. Has it changed much? And they're like, no, just a hard year.
Mhm.
And then, one of them would pipe up and go, but next year will be better, because this year was bad. And go,
Do you get anybody that comes in ever that's hunted elk one season and deer a backup season, or vice versa?
so
Do you see more than a solid week?
not often. And not necessarily like a consecutive hunt like that. We don't. We will see sometimes people that want to hunt more than our typical package, which is 7 days, which is kind of industry standard. In 1 day, 5 days of hunting, out 1 day. And there's a guy, I want to go all season. I want to do whatever it is, and whatever the dates allow. Almost to a person, my expectation is, or my thinking is, that when they get that ambitious, they're so freaking tired by the end. They're like, yeah, that doesn't work, because it's diminishing returns
Right.
every single day.
Nobody's ever wanted to do a 28-day archery season or anything.
Oh yeah, they do.
Oh, they do.
Oh, they do.
Oh, huh.
And you go, that's gonna suck.
Mhm.
And I'll do it if that's really what you
If
want.
you're going to pay for the same that it would cost you to
Yes.
fulfill a camp and refill a camp.
Yeah, this is what it costs me, and we've got to pay the mortgage and
Right.
pay the kid. What the kids are going to pay for braces and car insurance and a new front end on the truck and
Yeah.
that life.
Mhm.
But when they want those long days, you can usually talk to them, and the reality is it really is a law of diminishing returns. The people that are that ambitious to hunt that hard, typically, in my experience, will burn themselves out.
Do you think that the people that you're dealing with in today's environment understand the volatility and just how fragile the hunting landscape is, and what it takes to be able, the preparation and the work ahead of time that you, as an individual have to put into representing the outfitting industry and your particular outfitting business, just so you can turn around and take 2.5 months and take people like them hunting?
No, because if I'm doing my job well, they won't know that. It's the same prep. They should, probably, but I don't think they do. I mean, they don't, most people don't consider, you have 36 head of horses and mules. That's 365 days a year. There's water, there's feed, there's healthcare, there's the fact that they're trying to kill themselves every day. And there's all of the marketing and running a business and front ends and farming and all of these other
and the
pieces.
politics and stuff like you and I are doing. I mean, it's become something that's almost, if not a full-time job, it's damn close to a full-time job, or maybe 2 full-time jobs at times, on top of the other stuff that you're doing, just so you can fight to be able to turn around and provide the service to be able to take them out so they can have an experience.
And since 2019, it has been a full-time job. 100%.
Yeah.
And there is no, do not let your foot off the gas. As soon as you let your foot off the gas, you've missed 3 exits that you needed to.
That's why we're here at this meeting. We've got a meeting today and tomorrow.
Yep.
And that's why we're dealing with all the trials and tribulations of what we do. You know, the average person, and it's hard to not have a conversation about Proposition 127 in some capacity. We probably mentioned it at some point in time in all 50 of the previous podcasts. But to say what it takes to defend the opportunity to do it yourself or to take somebody else out is a challenge that we didn't have to do as organically and holistically 15, 20, 30 years ago. It was there, but not at this level.
No, and I think that during those times, you could pick and choose by species, you could pick and choose by take, you could pick and choose by a lot of different things, and you could fight that little thing and have that little battle, and it was fine. Now, what we're seeing, and you and I recognize this, I think, is that you have to fight on every single piece and participate in every single piece because they are all related. And while some species may not garner as much public interest, may not garner as much money, may not garner really anything, you know, I still go, why is that on a list? Okay, I guess it's on a list. Insert species of choice.
You bet.
But the reality is that if we're not all fighting for each other and monitoring all of the different pieces and all of the different special interests, we will lose the whole. Because they are all interrelated.
What's the people's experience with horses?
As far as clients?
Yeah.
Various. As a society, most people don't have much experience with horses. It's a trail ride in the summer or a dude ranch when they were kids.
There's a romantic novelty that goes along with it.
Oh yes, a romantic novelty. There's an expectation that it's just going to be so much easier. And in some, if I do my job well, it is. And if my horses do their job well, it is. And then sometimes it's a little different.
There's a little bit, the romanticism goes away from it.
Yeah.
The novelty becomes a pain in the ass.
To this day, we owned a horse from the very beginning of his career through his death. And he was actually fabulous to ride and really hard to catch from day one, always was his whole life. And he also has the distinguished honor of dumping the most people, not because he bucked or did anything nefarious. He literally just moved right and left really fast. And if somebody's looking over here and he moved really fast to the left, they'd go over the shoulder and they're like, oh, he's just not there anymore. And that was, I mean, it's just, what's a great day and all fine. Now just got to hit harder. And sometimes that was a 4-day process.
You said what, 30 or 40 horses and mules? And how many would you run into a camp?
Depends on the size of camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like a guide, we'll do a guided camp. You've got 6 guests, then you've got 3 guides, camp jack, cook, packer, sometimes 2 packers. We're up to 10 there.
Right.
They all need horses. And then you need to get the gear and food in. And that's at that point in time is probably another 6 to 8.
And then you leave horses behind for people to use, or no, they go back out with you?
In the guided camps, yeah, you would have that because you use horses every day. In semi-guided camps, you would run horse shuttles, so you had horses in every day. On the drop camps, they go in, drop everybody out, and the horses go back.
But there's places you can rent horses to go hunt in other places.
Yeah.
I mean,
one of our association members is one of the largest horse renting operations, even nationally.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Sombrero Ranches, yeah.
So they can turn around and rent horses, take them in, utilize them in camp, and then bring them back out, and then somebody comes and picks them up.
To be legal, the person who's renting them has to transport them unless they have a permit, which there are some leasing permits throughout the state, but there's some nuance there with legality.
Well, that's kind of an interesting concept to be able to turn around and do that, but I imagine it has its complexities that go along with it as well.
What if I delivered HB to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, and not to dissuade
the horse
people
that throws people.
The horse that throws people, or the fact, I like knowing my horses, the good, bad, and the ugly. Same thing with my mules. I like to know who they are and what they do, and kind of understand their employment contract, because if they do a good job, and I know what it is that I help them to do a better job,
right?
Everything's safer. There's less hassle.
But they have to know a little bit about horses to turn around and for somebody to trust them to rent the horse, to stay in camp, to be able to hunt off the horse, to be able to pack off the horse, to be able to take the goods and services back out with them. I mean, that's probably a little bit more daunting than a for the average person.
I think it should be.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, horses they're prey animals, and they have lots of flight as their most appropriate maneuver in any given situation, and they've got the brain the size of a walnut. They're amazing.
Hard to imagine.
Yes, they're amazing. My mom teased me like, you learned about early childhood and education. What's going on? I'm like, I work with 1,200-pound retarded 5-year-olds with hair. No, they're an amazing partner. But when it's not something you do all the time, you might be asking for some headache that you didn't necessarily think you were going to do. I mean, you got to think that you rent the horses and it's all great, but during the day, you have to feed them and water them and make sure that, you have a lot more chores that you just added to yourself. And that's where I come in. That's where what I've done for 30 years comes in. I get to do those chores.
How much longer are you going to do what you do?
We're in the process of kind of morphing and seeing what plan B is. It'll be something. We'll be still in the hunting industry. But we're going to be moving out a lot of the stock stuff and a lot of the backcountry stuff. But
this isn't like it's something that, I mean, I know guys that were in their 70s and 80s. It was different then. Yeah.
Well, it was different then. There was a lot more, the reality of finding quality employees and skilled employees. You had a lot broader employment base. We don't have that as much anymore. And, you know this. So 4 years ago, I had an accident. I got very hurt. And it was kind of a wake-up call. I think my prefrontal lobe formed, and certainly Jeff's formed then too, having to get me out and go, oh, things happen. And they don't always, it's not just I'm dirty and sore the next day. And when our daughter decided she didn't want to do it professionally, she wanted to do it for herself, we just had to reevaluate and start going, well, wait a minute. And what is this? I was very lucky. I healed, got a couple scars and some pain, but for the most part.
You lost some brain cells in the process, but
but that was the fentanyl. We don't talk about.
Yeah. Of course, I think you were losing those ahead of time anyway. So
I may have lost them before I even got into the situation in the first place.
Because when that happened, that was in 2021.
Yeah.
And so we started the wolf process in 21 to 22.
I got out of the hospital September 21st. And from the rented hospital bed at my house, I went to a SAG meeting on Zoom. I pretty much slept through most of it, but
Yeah.
I tried to be like conscious there and responsible.
And the SAG meetings, for anybody that doesn't understand, was a stakeholder advisory group that Jenny and I sat on for the introduction of wolves, which was Proposition 114 when people voted on wolves back in 2020. And so, trying to incorporate all the stuff that you've had to do politically, and granted, you're the president of the Colorado Outfitters Association, but the things that you've had to do to keep moving the needle, to stay in business, and to keep other outfitters in business and out of trouble.
Yeah.
You had to do a tremendous amount of sacrifice on your own end, your family end, to make sure that you were in the right place and you became the right person at the right time for the right reason and the right message, which has now been altered significantly because of the current political landscape.
Yeah. So at home, our business has always been family oriented. I mean, that's we organized our family so that we could stay as a family unit, providing the services that we did, doing the marketing, and we always did that together, always together. And as the political situation was increasing and the leadership of our association started, it was just changing. People are aging, retiring, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
You start going, oh, well, when are the grown-ups showing up? And then you look around one day and you like,
Oh, I am the grown-up.
That would be me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my turn. And my family was incredibly generous to back me when it started becoming evident that one of us had to stand up. And I happen to be a little bit more comfortable public speaking than my husband.
But you got some intimate knowledge of a lot of things that were going on too.
Yeah. Well, we live it.
That's the difference between you and I have had conversations with some individuals from the other side of our perspective or equation.
Yeah.
And when you live it, eat it, breathe it, drink it, sleep it, screw it.
Yeah.
It's easy to spout off numbers when you do it every day for 40 years.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to sprout off numbers, but it's also, it's hugely personal and influential in your home life when there's a license curtailment. And that's what you eat.
You go from 100 to 50, or you go from 300 to 100.
But that's literally what you eat. Or you've heard me make cheeky jokes about that's not only what my family eats is wild game, but that's also, by providing services, how we get toothpaste and toilet paper.
Yeah.
And
That's how you pay your bills.
Yeah.
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 If you want to support a company that supported the efforts to defeat Proposition 127, then you need to support Davis Tent. Davis Tent has provided quality canvas goods for outdoorsmen for the last 50 plus years. For more information, go to davistent.com. If you want to support another business that was instrumental in helping us defeat Proposition 127, check out Salida Gun Shop. Salida Gun Shop in Salida, Colorado provides quality products, expertise, and knowledge from individuals that actually do what they sell. Go to salidagunshop.com. Listen to the advice of Cameron Haynes and support companies that are supporting your cause and your efforts. Minturn Anglers is one of those companies. Minturn Anglers provides product and fishing excursions in Colorado and are second to none. For more information, go to minturnanglers.com. Do either one of you and Jeff, your husband, and you hunt much?
As much as possible, which is probably not as much as we would like because you're actually working.
Well, that's the thing. So when I was a kid, I hung around outfitters and I hung around hunting guides, and I was around game wardens, and they were all around wildlife. And I worked in a taxidermy shop as a kid, and I just thought everybody was so cool. And everybody told me, if you want to hunt like you're doing now, do not do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Because they were always working during hunting season. And they never got a chance to explore what they got into it for, even though they still loved it.
Yeah.
It's a different love, and it's a different opportunity to engage in it.
No, it is. I laugh because, last year I got to hunt for 4.5 hours.
Oh.
I know. And that means like I'm actually hunting. I during season, I'll have a license in my pocket and I'll have my rifle on my saddle, and maybe something will show up and the stars will align.
But Not very frequently.
No, it's not very. It is less and less frequently. It actually used to happen surprisingly frequently, but anymore that's not the case.
Really?
Mhm.
Have the recreationists that you've used the lands with,
Mhm.
have they become increasingly more difficult to be able to partner with, so to speak? I mean, same people, same space, different reasons, different perspectives.
The short answer is yes, but that's literally because there's so many more of them, which means just inevitably you're going to have ones that are harder because there's more. We have people that are they're not doing their homework about what trails are open. They have zero idea that there's a hunting season.
They probably don't know where they're at. So,
Well, no, they get lost.
uh-huh.
They've come in. We had so main access trail we're on all the time. I'm riding in and I've got a string behind me, and there's these two ladies on the trail and they have 5 dogs. One's obviously blind and just barking incessantly and standing in the middle of the trail. And my horses they're fine with legs. They don't care. But I asked them, I'm like, you might want to, can you stand off to the uphill side? And they start, one lady finally grabs the dog that's blind and she's got the other dog that's losing his shit. And another dog, she's pulled into her lap and she's now sitting all with her legs in the trail. And I have 6 animals behind me, fully loaded, and I've got guests behind them.
Mhm.
And I don't know, kind of like, well, she won't move out of the way. It's very steep, so I don't have a place where I can get around her
Right.
safely with everyone. And she's yelling at me, pedestrians have the right of way. And I'm trying to explain to her that in the outside world, yes, but not here, because I can't turn around or really do any individualized control of every animal that's behind
Right.
me. And finally, I said, well, if you're all right with it, I'm just going to step over you. And I did. And she couldn't have a conversation with me. And the other lady was just standing on the side trying to grab this other dog. 2 more dogs are on the side. And I'm going, I don't really know what to do here, but if I stop here, I'm putting everybody in danger. So finally I made a decision and I said, I'm just going to have to step over you. You can either scooch or they'll step over you. They're not going to look at you, but they're not going to touch you.
Right.
And thought to myself, okay, that's what we're going to do. So I did. Everything was fine. She screamed the whole time. The other lady screamed the whole time. And I thought to myself, well, when I go through cell phone service after dropping everybody off, do I have my phone? Yeah, I have my phone because I need to call Forest Service and tell them I'm going to get turned in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I called Ranger. I was like, just so you know, I'm probably going to get turned in. I tried to be polite. Here's my side of the story. Here we go. And nothing ever happened. Well, when I got into camp, I dropped these people off, tried to make a call, left the call, and then I rode to another camp to check on them. And when I got there, they're like, hey, did you see 2 ladies and all these dogs? And I was like, yeah. They'd been out for 2 nights on trails that had not been open, so they bushwhacked.
So they had nowhere to go.
No, they were lost. They'd been out of water for like 14 hours by the time they hit our other camp, and our people in that camp gave them some water and gave stacks and kind of helped them out and said, the trail's right here. It's well worn, follow it out. And so we just met them at a time where they were in a really crappy situation and were not of their best selves or in any sense. And those things happen. You meet people that are coming out with dogs and kids and everything, and they're like, why is everybody wearing orange? Because it's rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to get shot? No, probably not.
Yeah. Especially the way you walk and scream and your dogs are barking and everything else. I mean,
yeah.
Do you see on the recreation side an adventurous mentality that's trying to duplicate or replicate what the hunters are doing without the kill?
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhat, yeah. I've haven't done a study of our clients, but if I just think, we have a decent amount that will just, there's always a couple groups that come in every year with guests and observers and, people that want to just take pictures. And they don't necessarily want to hunt themselves, but they're willing to help and
Right.
be involved. And
Observers and a lot of
that has increased.
Yeah.
That has increased.
non-hunters or observers or whatever.
Yeah.
These guys bring their own food, or do you supply?
For the most part.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
I can get them a cook and grocery setup if they want it. As different services that's done.
And you can supply them with a cook too?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
they want it.
If they want to pay for it, they can get it.
Yeah.
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 You
can do a lot of things a la carte.
Yeah, you do everything besides the fully guided stuff now.
Yeah.
Once you get into the private side, if you're looking at other options and you go on the private side, will you guide that, or is that still going to be like drop camp type stuff?
It will be a mix. It will be a mix.
Yeah.
It depends. It depends on the property. Some of the properties that we're talking to, they want it fully guided no matter what. Very surgical precision removals of certain animals and leaving other ones. Other ones are a little more open, and we're going to kind of feel that out over the next couple of years.
What do you dislike about what you're doing on the outfitting side? And then I'm going to follow up with a question.
Apathy. Apathy. I put in a lot of time. My family puts in a lot of time and heart to maintain the industry as is possible. And when you get criticized from somebody who has not been there, that can be rough. But generally, it's pretty easy to invite them and have them show up and then go, "You weren't kidding."
There's a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit here.
They said this like 6 different times. I'm like, yeah, I'm not just, it is nuanced, and there are lots of personalities and lots of different intent.
What do you like or dislike about the public advocacy side of what you do for being president?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you got meetings, you got focus groups, and you got all the travel, and you got things that you have relationships with, and things that you wish you didn't have relationships with. And but what do you like and dislike about being the representative of a state organization that essentially provides, I don't know how many millions of dollars, but I think it's probably in totality what I remember Chris Journey saying, it was $5 or $6 million in advertising or something that goes into the state of Colorado from the outfitters themselves that are advertising Colorado, but they're advertising their business.
Parks and Wildlife has no external marketing budget, none. And so we look at that as we are that. We're selling the dreams that people come here to hunt and fish and do whatever that anybody provides services for. You're the ones advertising that. That's what they're looking at. I like the relationships. I like getting to know the people. I really like watching herd dynamics, and that applies to humans as well. So it's interesting. I like the mental challenge of it. I don't like being away from my family so much. I don't like getting stressed out in the spring when I've got foals coming and I'm the midwife. And I'm starting to go, come on, girlfriends, because we got a meeting coming up and this is going to...
And I need to be there.
Yeah. I don't like missing out on like the normal, simple things in life. I mean, I could be here today, or I could be home prepping for my in-laws who are going to come stay, and making sure that they're welcome. Not that they're welcomed, but have a welcoming house.
Sure, they're welcome.
Yeah, as I suggested to my husband, you're doing a great job. Thank you. It kind of needs a woman's touch.
Yeah, yeah.
And you miss out on that stuff.
Your kids, you got 3 kids. They're all in their 20s now?
20s and 30s, yeah.
They grew up in the outfitting business.
Yeah, my oldest.
Grew up to the point to where the pictures and stuff I saw, they were out like playing in the dirt and the mud all the time, and that's what they did.
Yeah, that is what they did. I went back into archery camp when my oldest was 6 days old. Put her in a front pack and packed
That's pretty
diapers.
good.
And I was like, people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, I got to work. Like, I got to pay the bill.
I got clients.
I got clients. I got to pay the bills. And that was the easiest to do if I was in.
Do you think that the industry can survive from a advocacy side? I mean, they can survive from a business side because people are always going to want to do things, but you have to have advocacy for the ability to survive in the industry, because if you don't have representation, whether it's in Montana or Wyoming or Idaho or Canada or whatever, if you don't have representation, being involved in these groups and these conversations and these studies and the focus groups, and adequate representation on the commissions.
Yes.
If you don't have that stuff, the degradation and erosion of the industry has to be compromised in some way, shape, or form, doesn't it?
Yes. So I am of the opinion, and there are others that agree with me, we are at a crux in the industry. We have some big generational changes that are happening. Our business is one. And as those things change, as new owners come in, as new, maybe it's a next generation, maybe it's something that's being handed down, maybe it's a third generation that is now hitting a point where it's not as cost effective to continue to be in business the way they have. Those changes are happening. That's just a normal evolution. But as specifically wildlife politics in Colorado has gotten dicier, more and more outfitters are kind of waking up and going, oh, and there was 5 of them here today from the fishing side of the industry going, is this real? Could this really happen?
Yeah, because they saw their livelihood in jeopardy. Yeah. The citizens' petition having to do with live bait for fishing.
Yes.
And they just thought, well, nobody's going to ever go out there fishing.
Right.
And when we talked to them in the hallway out there, they started to recognize last year on Ordinance 308 that would have incorporated the utilization of fur products into fishing lures that would have been prohibited. And they went, what? They're going to, how do they ban lures? Well, now they're talking about live bait.
Yeah.
Now we successfully defeated Ordinance 308 along with Proposition 127. But the general consensus with people is we don't have to worry about that.
Right.
But I think there's always somebody out there who wants to take it away.
There's always somebody out there who wants to take it away. And I know you have, but people who are listening, if you haven't looked into Mark Duda's work, over decades of study about hunter acceptance and satisfaction and participation and all of this, his statistics are interesting.
Mark Duda's with Responsive Management out of Virginia, and has provided a comprehensive level of information to most Fish and Wildlife agencies, including the Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies and Western Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies and Wildlife Management Institute. And so if anybody's questioning, I don't know what she's talking about, or I don't know what they're talking about. Well, we just explained it. So it's Mark Duda with Responsive Management, and it can be utilized very effectively for our arguments and recognition.
Right. Well, and the statistics in it they're useful. I mean, the biggest one, and it hits me, and you've heard me a lot. In the last 10 years, we've lost 7% of the hunting public. So 5% of 5% of the people in the U.S. hunt and support hunting. And that's an extraordinary number to me. Because I was always like, we're 10 or 12%. That's my whole life, or more.
Yeah.
And when we're 5%, but we're extremely influential. We are the only funding mechanism.
Well, I saw a deal too that in the 1930s, you couldn't hardly find anybody that didn't know somebody that produced some sort of agriculture product.
Yeah.
And now in today's environment, there's more people that know a hunter or a sportsman or a woman than know somebody that's in production ag. And I say production ag that grows a crop or raises beef or lamb or goats or something.
I only know Colorado because I just looked this up and referred to it for the people that are in the same circles, but from the ag side, their populations reflects 1% of the population.
Mm-hmm.
So together we're a mighty 6.
Mm-hmm. And everybody's got to eat.
Everybody's got to eat. Everybody's got to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't know. I don't know if it's too philosophical of me or what, but when the first supermarket came in, 1947. 1947. Then we had the whole baby boomer thing, like all of these different pieces.
They had grocery stores, they had meat shops, but you're talking like
supermarkets. And a wholesale grocery support, one-stop shopping.
Right.
And
take your cart, walk through the
it was one stop.
And then there was a lot of stuff about H&S green stamps or something when I was a kid. My grandma used to.
Oh my God, I haven't thought about those for a long time.
Yeah.
Remember when you'd go into the place and they'd have them all spread up on this big balcony?
I remember my grandma in the magazine rack next to the fireplace would have stacks and stacks of H&S green stamp books fulfilled. And it was like one stamp was worth 1/100 of 1/10 of 1% or something. But when you filled the whole book, you could get different things.
Well, I remember going with my grandma to like the prize shop. I mean, I was fairly young, but going in, they had like TVs and ironing boards and really probably anything.
Yeah.
At a couple, I remember I was really
But they got that from that supermarket or that one-stop shop mentality, kind of like a Walmart. It was a previous day Walmart.
Yeah. But I think that did something to us as a human race, that we kind of separated from the dirt under the fingernails, the blood under the fingernails, what it means to have food and how much time it takes. And seems to have changed our whole society some. And then the urbanization. I mean,
there's a friend of mine, Craig O'Gorman. He doesn't watch any podcasts, and I don't think he's got a cell phone or can do anything. But he's a trapper, an old time trapper in Broadus, Montana.
Uh-huh.
And Craig and I became good friends, and he's made his life doing wildlife damage control work for the livestock producers in eastern Montana, and he's been there 60 years probably.
Yeah.
The point about it is he mentioned he has a very philosophical perspective on the way things have played out from people's perception on what they do for consumptive use, agricultural or otherwise. And up until about the Great Depression, right before World War II, almost everybody, as I mentioned, knew somebody that produced a product.
Yeah.
If you didn't do it yourself, you went to grandma's on Sundays and she said, Bobby, go out and catch that chicken and we're going to kill it. Yeah. Or Susie, go out to the garden and pull this. And even in that household, they probably had gardens if there was any sort of a small plot or yard that they had. The point of that is that people were used to death and supplying for themselves. And about when World War II started to end, and then you went into the Korean War, and then you went into the Vietnam War, there was this urbanization of such to where hunting became more of a sport and a recreation than it did a necessity. Yeah. And that's when the plaid shirts came out and the Field and Streams and the Outdoor Lifes and the Hunter Trapper Traders and the Fur Fishing Games and all the magazines that were there. And I'm recalling things because I'm an aficionado in this side of things. But that's when campers really came out and all of the accoutrements and the accessories about coolers and water jugs and all this other stuff to go out and enjoy the outdoors. By about the time when past the Vietnam War, the people that were in the military in the First World War, Second World War, Korean War, Vietnam War, they started to separate away from consumptive use because their grandparents had died or passed on, and the farm had often sold. And instead of the immediate family or the next of kin, now it became very seldom that it was anywhere close to that generation. It was farther down the line, and they didn't have any recollection about going out and killing a chicken. The first thing that they had a chance to kill more often than not was when they trained for the military and they were going to war. This is post Vietnam. Yeah. In today's society, people have an unrealistic expectation about death on many different levels. Yeah. And I think that's where you get into the animal extremism and the animal rights side of things, the animal welfare side, the animal rights and extremism, differently than what you used to. Has that mentality, that's a long tirade to be able to get us to this
I'm
point.
following.
But has that mentality affected the consumptive use, recreational opportunity, the sporting side of outfitting and hunting, to the point to where you see a degradation and erosion of participation over the last 50 plus years? And then on top of that, where's it going to go in the next 50 years? Because we're not the same society we were 70, 80 years ago.
No, and I think that that's one of the biggest challenges that we have about protecting the traditions of hunting and the traditions of wildlife management in general, right? Because that each of those individual stories always end in death. And death is not comfortable for people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it should be comfortable for people. It shouldn't necessarily always make you feel good. But there is death that comes with personal emotions of relief. That can be from having to euthanize a very loved pet.
Mm-hmm.
That can come from recognizing that beautiful animal that's now on the ground and now is going to be a lot of work is now going to feed your family
Mm-hmm.
for X amount of time, depending on what the animal is. To me, there's not life without death. And actually, I think that's effective for every person on the planet. But as we've lost those connections through the changing and modernizing of our societies, we've lost those skill sets. Well, as we've lost the skill sets on a big scale basis, we've also lost the ability to deal with those emotionally.
Has that altered people's ability to comprehend or understand from a hunting perspective of what outfitters, suppliers of a resource and suppliers of an opportunity and suppliers and facilitators of a recreation,
Mm-hmm.
has that made it more difficult to continually be able to sustain until you get to a point where now you've got a disparaging component of participants because of money, class,
Mm-hmm.
Which comes into affordability?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yes.
Is that sustainable?
Not on the scale that it has been, no.
Mm-hmm.
It has to have, there's going to be some adaptation that has to happen. There's going to be some evolution that has to happen.
And that's just the cycle of attrition.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people out there, Colorado used to be, well, the Western states used to be a point to where we had such ample supplies of wildlife with limited participation. You used to be able to turn around and harvest 2 mule deer in the state during the 50s and 60s and 70s, to the point to where big mule deer.
Yeah.
We had
Kids used to get off from elementary school on, they could get off time for hunting season.
Yeah, sometimes they were closed on the first day of hunting season.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
And now we've got schools that you have to go through a full background check to give them presentation about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, you're going to talk about hunting? I'm actually going to talk about what's called the North American model, but yes, it involves hunting.
And I used to take a gun to school.
Yeah.
I mean, we could leave the guns in our pickups. I started a trap shooting class or trap shooting club in Cheyenne Mountain High School and built muzzleloaders and cannons, and I've said this before, in shop class.
This is freaking great.
Yeah. I mean, it had the help and the blessing of the shop teacher.
Yeah.
And we shot them on the football field.
They worked.
Yeah. Different climate for sure, but outfitting then became not so much of a, and I'm not saying it's a rich man's game, but it's somewhat pricing people out.
Yeah.
Because the people that are coming up that want to do that often don't have the financial capabilities to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gotten to that point. Terry Myers with the Rocky Mountain Bighorn Society and I were talking at breakfast this morning, and it's like, I can't afford to go on a stone sheep hunt anymore.
Yeah.
I can't afford to go on a bighorn sheep hunt unless I do it myself.
Yeah. or happen to win a raffle. Or,
yeah. But I can't afford $75 or $80 or $100,000 for a tag.
Yeah.
To go
Well,
hunt.
I think that's I mean it's a legitimate concern, and it's reality from a business standpoint. If we've lost seven, say in the last 10 years, we've lost 7% of the potential client base. Guess what? My overhead has not gone down.
No.
My overhead has actually gone just up, just like everybody else is dealing with. Groceries are that much more expensive.
And you said before that your license allocations have gone down.
Yes.
So
you have to cover more with less. And that means that it's going to get more expensive.
And physically and feasibly and financially, if you had 60 hunters now, you couldn't supply the guides to turn around and go do it. So your model has to work like this.
Part of our thought process when we started going, hey, if we change up, we've always done drop camps. It's always been a core piece of the business. But if we change this up, and one of the things that was triggering that is we had a really good quality-based, very effective guide crew. And then like the beginning, as everybody starts showing up late summer, and they come in, I met a girl. There you go. We got like 2 years. Because then they met a girl, then they get married, then they have kids. Then you go, okay, hey, I'll need you. And they're like, oh man, we got tickets to go to Disneyland. First rifle. I can't work. It also is, I mean, ultimately with outfitting and guiding, and I'm sure you've experienced this, it's a thing that people get into because they really like to hunt. They really like to fish. They really like to be in the outdoors. And so they're like, that's what I want to do. And I want to make a living at it. And that reality is not necessarily a paycheck that comes every 2 weeks, 52 weeks a year.
No.
The realities don't line up with the dream as romantically.
When I did it as a young man and just loved the hell out of it. And I guided for 6 or 7 different outfitters. And then we ran the camps for 2 or 3 different other outfitters to where we were in that whole scenario on ourselves.
Yeah.
When I did that with outfitters before, I was planning on doing that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And then I quickly found that there was other ways to make money year round, and I didn't have to turn around and make money in just September, October, November, and then save money for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And then scrimp and scrounge, and then worry about what deposits you were taking in from outfitters or from clients to the outfitters of what was going to make you survive through. Now, it was different then because we had a lot of spring bear hunting.
Yeah.
We had a lot of other opportunities that we don't have in Colorado anymore.
Yeah.
And so it was easy to be able to transfer the money and make it last longer.
Yeah. So it is. I mean, the ultimate reality is a lot of people get into this industry because they like to do it. It's a romantic idea. It's fun. Like I said earlier, it makes you feel alive. It's really, really gratifying to make people happy. But on the same token, there's so many other pieces in it that add challenge. You're not necessarily going to get rich. You're not necessarily going to have a regularly timed paycheck. In a lot of things and a lot of ways, especially like in the horse side of it, you live a dangerous life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether that can be bush pilots. I think the average bush pilot crashes like 7 times before they die. I mean, like crazy. But
it's like having how many horse accidents before you turn around.
Yeah.
And it's different than riding a horse for 8 seconds in a rodeo because you're riding a horse for 7 hours to pack camps in. And there's a lot of things that can happen.
Yeah.
And you're doing it repetitively over and over and over every single day. It's different than an 8-second ride. I'm not saying it's any less dangerous. Yeah. They both have their challenges. But the more time you spend in the saddle, the better chance you've got to get hurt.
Yeah.
The more chance you have around guns and knives. We talked about that earlier. You know, guns, sharp antlers and fires and
guns, knives. The fact that
falling trees.
Falling trees. the stepping on the rock that's loose that you thought was solid. There's a lot of those pieces that come in and you just don't get to, I mean, it's just part of living.
How many old school outfitters did you grow up around? And I can name a few that you would probably both think to the top of your head, but that you grow up around. You've been doing this for 35 or 40 years.
Yeah.
How many old school outfitters did you grow up around that you went, man, I think they're badass and they're just doing the right thing. And then you just get to the point where you're approaching where they were when you knew them before.
Yeah.
And you're like, God, I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
I have 4 mentors that pop into my head that I think about. They not only did it right then, but they were politically active. They did a lot of things. And actually, I've been really lucky to have 2 of them that just in the last few years have pulled me aside and like been like, you're doing a great job. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, I learned from you. Thank you. And they laughed and they're like, we didn't have to deal with any of the shit you're dealing with. It's nuts.
Yeah. it ain't near like it was. That's for damn sure. You want to name either one of them?
Dick Ray, mm-hmm. and a gentleman who just passed recently, Howard Linscott.
And Dick was former commissioner.
Oh, Dick has a resume beyond resumes for outfitting. He's not only outfitted internationally, but he's outfitted in multiple states. And he was on the door board for 9 years. He was also a wildlife commissioner. He has lobbied at the Capitol multiple times. He's been influential on a lot of different species issues and, outfitter law in general as it stands today. Mm-hmm. He was influential and really a spearhead in getting the licensing that we're working under today, mm-hmm. and having an outfitter representative on the Parks and Wildlife Commission.
Yeah, he was instrumental in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just won an award from the Outfitters Association.
I think we've given him every one we've got. No, we actually are kicking off a Richard Ray Conservation Scholarship Award. We've given him every award that we have at our disposal yet. So, but our latest and one that I'm personally really excited about is the Richard Ray Conservation Scholarship. And that will be available here shortly for people and kids applying. And it's to further not only just the outfitting industry, because there is a tie to you need a recommendation from a member outfitter, but it can be used for a very broad range. If you want to go to shoeing school, mm-hmm. and apply that, if you want to be a biologist and a game warden, you can apply that. Really, it's pretty broad. And Dick is energetic and intellectual and a wildlife scholar at the core. Mm-hmm. Both in the real daily sense and life experientially, but as well as written and read. And anybody who wants to emulate that, we look forward to helping them maintain and acquire education.
Dick's what, 90? Close to it now?
I believe he's 85 this year.
And been a mentor to a lot of people that just respect the hell out of him. And yep. And it's that sort of advocacy and representation, I think, that so many sectors of our industry don't have.
Yeah.
And the ones that they do oftentimes step aside because they're raising families and they do different things and they've got into different fields. Some of us aren't that smart when we turn around and say how long we're going to do it. We'll turn around and take something on for a short period of time, and then it becomes like a tumor that it just morphs into something else.
Yeah.
So you're doing this with your husband. We both look at the Theo. We get a text message. You're doing this with your husband.
Uh-huh.
Is he like the pack boss? Or you're the pack boss? Who's the boss on the trail?
Jeff's primary. I guess if you were to ask him, and he says he's operations, and I'm admin. That said, when we're in the timber, we just have our roles. We pack a lot together. Both of us can do the other one's job.
Who does the ass chewing when it comes to clients, or who do the clients go to chew ass?
Who's that? Whichever one of us is closest.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. We have both been the bearer of that.
Who walks away and who's left standing there?
Yeah. I can think of one time in particular where we had to deliver some unfortunate news to a client, and we were like literally in our tent going, like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And flipped a coin kind of thing. I went, okay. I guess my turn,
I've done that before.
Whoever drew the short straw.
Yeah. More of my team would turn around and say, well, we got a problem. And I'd say, okay, well, I'll go handle it. You want us to go back you up? Yeah, it probably wouldn't hurt. I mean,
That'd be nice.
You might need a little clout here. I mean, So have you ever gone on a guided hunt yourself?
No. Isn't that weird?
Um,
I shouldn't probably put this in here, but the reality is I've never really played the points game.
No.
Because I'm working.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
and I'm not, and lo and behold, I wasn't getting financially independent enough to go, yeah, that's going to be its next thing. I do know that I'm looking forward to that here in the near future.
So are you going to play the points game, or are you going on a guide?
I will play some points games, yes. But as I'm looking at the latter portions of my life, and I've got some things on my bucket list that I want to take care of.
You got something you want to hunt? Yeah.
I've got quite a few things that
Yeah, not a $80,000 sheep hunt, but
Oh yeah.
Are
you kidding me?
Yeah.
I got to go.
So you got enough money for that?
No, but I'm gonna play the raffle. I'm gonna have my kid play the raffle game and give me the raffle because they win everything.
Yeah.
Pearl. Pearl's literally been told at various sportsman shows and stuff, you can't put in anymore because we can't keep having you win in front of everybody.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm like, well, I'll put it in. No, I mean that my reality is, I went, I had the great, so I not only sit on the COA board, but I sit on the Professional Outfitters and Guides Association. And we have workshops every year. 1 year they're here in the States, 1 year they are in Canada. And we trade off hosting. And I got the greatest pleasure in 2019 of going we flew into a lodge in Peace River Valley in BC. Absolutely mind-blowing. And just an amazing place. And I would love to go up there on a stone sheep hunt. Like I would give my eye teeth to do that. Really? Other than I like my teeth, so I'll keep them. So, but I would think that would just be awesome. And they come up on raffle, and I buy a raffle. I oftentimes am buying a raffle going, I might get lucky someday. But I didn't, I didn't chose a lifestyle that was going to make that type of money to take me there.
No,
it's going to be a trade-off.
Most of us in our professions haven't, and then when you get into the advocacy side, while you're still trying to run businesses and keep your lifestyle afloat, and then it just morphs and changes into something else. I mean, what we're doing right now, neither one of us really planned on doing. It was more out of necessity, and then we found out that we were, I wouldn't say good, we're just effective. But we also are stubborn enough and dumb enough we can't turn around and step away from it.
Yes.
And that happens a lot with a lot of...
There's nobody knocking on my shoulder going, I'll do it.
No. Terry and I talked about that today with RMBS, and we're going to dinner this evening with Suzanne O'Neill with the Colorado Wildlife Federation, and you just look at their advocacy is a tough deal to do when you're not getting paid, because the enemy is always getting paid. Yeah. The enemy has executive directors and leadership teams and all of these. I mean, look at the executive directors of a lot of these big organizations: $350,000, $1 million, $1,500,000.
I see the cars they drive.
Yes. I mean, there's big bucks on animal advocacy or animal rights extremism. And so the $19 a month that you see on the ASPCA type commercials, and I'm not just calling out ASPCA, but there's a lot of money that goes in for the Center for Biological Diversity and the World Wildlife Fund and the Humane Society of the United States, which is now the Humane World for Animals, Wildlife Guardians. These are big dollar deals.
Yeah.
that made more money as executive directors of agenda-driven extremist organizations than what you and I have in our private businesses, and damn sure more than what we do representing the advocacy side of sportsmen and women.
Well, I think that for general society, they also have an easier story to tell.
Yeah, because we're all the Antichrist, and we should be able to harvest anything.
I refer to myself kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I'm like, I'm a prostitute killer. I sell services that kill things. That's...
Although it's not as successful as what people have alluded to.
No.
And just like when we got into the mountain lion deal on 127, 19% success rate. Straight across the board on deer and elk in the state of Colorado, deer maybe 20% and elk maybe 9 or 10 or 12% or somewhere, depending on straight across. But when they say it, it's like we bought a license and an elk died. We bought a license and a lion fell out of the tree.
220,000 licenses were out there. The picture for the general public can be, 220,000 carcasses.
Yeah, we heard that today in the commission meeting. That well, is there a time that we need to cut back, or is there a time when we need to expand licenses because of whatever's objective is trying to be created? Because licenses supposedly translate into dead animals. Licenses translate into opportunity. And to connect that to the outfitting side, opportunity through outfitters is just that. You're buying a service for an opportunity. You're not buying an animal. You're buying the hunt to potentially harvest that animal.
Correct.
And that's something that I saw as a young kid growing up in the outfitting landscapes and camps that has changed now. It's more of an expectation. I'm going home with something because it's going to go on that spot on the wall, and it's going to go into that freezer so I can go to my next quest and my next endeavor. It was not that way when I grew up. It was like, I don't squeeze the trigger. I don't squeeze the trigger. I mean, more often than not, because that guy was wearing plaid and he had a blue jean jacket and he had a down vest and he was wearing Rocky boots and they look like the Marlboro man. They didn't look like somebody that just walked out of a Cabela's or a Sitka catalog.
They bought the kit.
Which I got those pants and stuff too because they're really great. But I mean they're waterproof and they got knee pads and they don't have to worry about them getting. They don't sweat as bad. They breathe a lot better.
Well, from the girly side, we're actually getting some gear that actually fits and is designed to stay, like your pants stay up.
Exactly.
And they actually they're actually functional, and so it's come a long way.
So we're gonna go to dinner. You got anything that you'd like to have a few closing comments, and then I want to ask you some questions about one-word answers. But you got anything you want to say about just the outfitting industry? And we're going to have you on when we got the studio done because I think it'd be much more comprehensive. But we wanted to take advantage of this opportunity just because of a lot of things going on, and it's content that I think that people don't often get to hear about the segments of advocacy and the lifestyle of what people do. But closing statement?
Closing statement. Outfitters provide services. We provide services that the public want, whether that's on private land or public land. And we also provide extra services that nobody knows about, nobody thinks about. Me, the world's oddest wildlife advocate and hunting advocate, that's a service to all of our clients. That's a service to all the hunting public. If on public lands, with all the federal budget crunches, we're providing trail work free because we have to get in and out. We have to get.
And you're paying to do it.
Yeah.
You pay your permit fees to do the work that's not being done by the federal government that's supposed to come from those fees and also taxpayers.
Correct. The trails that the public who may or may not want to use an outfitter, or maybe they're like, well, outfitters are everywhere and they're just using our public lands, and they may not understand the processes, and that's fair. The trails that they're going in on a very large scale anymore are maintained and done and cleared by the outfitters that utilize them to
or maybe
provide
in some
services.
cases, the agriculture community that grazes those allotments to be able to turn around and go in and do the same thing that the outfitters are doing at a different time of year.
Yep.
Questions. I'm going to ask you
Okay.
some questions. I did this with a few other guests. A lot of people thought it was great. Some didn't understand it. You know where I'm going with this.
I think so.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you some names or some subject matter, and I want you to give me a 1 or a 2-word answer.
Can I use profanity?
I don't care. This is a podcast. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
1 or 2-word answer. When I say Bob Broscheid.
Bold.
Bald.
Sorry. You can cut that. But that's 100%. I couldn't. That was it. Yeah.
That's where it came from.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Don't put
Okay.
that one.
So if Joe said no, we'll leave that in there. So yeah, it's comic relief then. So if he's bald, what about Brett Axton?
Brett Axton has some of the funniest stories. I mean, he's got the just crazy stories. There are 2 words, crazy stories.
Yeah. Okay. Martin Lowney.
It reminds me of my Aunt Dot. I got to put the car in the carport.
Yeah. And for people that don't know these names, these are advocates. They are former directors of different agencies and people that we run into on a daily basis in this industry, that if anybody's in this industry in Colorado or around the Western United States, some of these names would resonate. And if they don't, you should look them up, because a lot of them would play into a lot of the things that are going on. How about, we had a conversation with an individual today, Auburn Royal with the Humane Society of the United States.
Her skin's exquisite.
Well, if she listens to this, she'll find humor in that.
I actually think she's pretty fair.
How about her predecessor, Wendy Kiefover?
Same, actually.
Yeah?
Mhm.
Does her skin look
Little
like that?
A little more challenging,
Mm-hmm.
but same.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, she was always surprised that there were things in common.
How about Denny Behrens?
Passionate warrior.
Okay. How about Carrie Romero?
She's freaking awesome. Carrie Romero is one of my spirit animals.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Andy Trahorn.
Oh, that I haven't heard any. I haven't thought about him for a while.
He was with the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation. He went on to Capital One, but Andy was a warrior in Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation and helped us tremendously in Colorado. But
yes,
what do you think of him?
He was great. He was really effective, actually. Although one of my mentors, he had problems with, which he never elaborated, and I was always curious about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I might have to find him at Capital One and go, so tell me now.
Yeah. How about Kevin Grantham, former senator?
Oh, okay. I'm like, context. Didn't know.
No? Okay.
I mean, I know the name,
Yeah,
but
know
I
the name.
didn't know him personally.
Yeah. How about the current director for Colorado Parks and Wildlife, Jeff Davis?
Challenged.
Not challenging, just challenged.
Challenged.
Yeah.
ED.
Yeah. Anyway, he's got a tough job.
He's got a very tough job.
And then how about, I'm going to throw a name out that a lot of people know, Chris Journey.
Again, another passionate warrior. Like, he's been at this a long time, and lots of history, really good on statistics. And I got to see him in DC for his first visit there, which was pretty fun.
Yeah. He was like a kid in a candy store.
Totally.
Yeah.
That it was.
I think it changed his ideology on politics.
You think?
Yeah, because he saw it on television. Then we took him there, and he went, and it's just there, and
Yeah.
you're in it, and you're in the Library of Congress and the Senate and the White House and or in the Capitol. And you're in all this stuff, and he
Yeah.
was just mesmerized at this is what we're watching on television, and it's a lot bigger than that.
Yeah.
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 How about Pat Dorsey?
Pat is awesome. She's also a neighbor that I never get to see other than when we travel around the state and end up in the same place, which is, I mean, literally, we're like, we both live equal distance from Durango. We could meet for coffee, go to whatever.
Yeah.
And it just kind of doesn't happen. We see each other on Zoom and we see each other and we laugh. We did it last night. We were like, why do we come, 220 miles to say hi?
I'll give you a couple phrases, and then we'll take a break and grab dinner, and we'll reconnect at some point. But phrases: ballot-box biology.
Bad.
That's just
detrimental.
One word, yeah, detrimental.
Detrimental.
Science-based wildlife management.
Data-driven. What was the quote? And I will leave off who said it, but we were discussing lion PR last year, mountain lion PR, and human conflict. And when that was not going to be part of the discussion, I was directed that it needed to be neutral. And I asked, aren't facts neutral?
How about biodiversity?
It's got a buzz. It's sustainable. It's organic. It's those things. And the reality is the biodiversity also includes humans. And it includes our footprint on the planet. And it doesn't often get added in. It seems to be something that needs to be separate by those who most often use it.
Favorite?
That's like 18 words.
Yeah, no. Martin Lowney went into like this diabolical tirade. I did this game with him, and he's like, well, there was a time back in the day, and there I was. And it's like, okay, Martin, that's like 400 words. He'll laugh when he sees this. But what about...
Oh, this is like the blooper reel.
Yeah, this is so you can throw it out there.
Okay.
Because a lot of these names, a lot of these words mean different things to different people.
Yeah.
But the circulation comes back to the point where there's a lot of commonality and cross-pollination.
Yeah.
What's Jenny Burby's most favorite thing to do that if you could do, you would do?
Ooh, I'm not putting that on fake. I had a very specific moment in time that I would do every day for the rest of my life.
Okay, well, it's evidently not going to happen on this day.
No, I'm not adding it.
Okay.
Everybody can use their own imagination.
What's one place that Jenny Burby would like to visit that you've never been to before?
I want to go ride horses on the steppes of Mongolia. I want to see those little kids who are just badass, and they're riding when they're 2 and they're pink cheeked and they're rolling in the dirt like my kids did, and entertaining themselves with sticks, and a rock can become anything they want it to be. I want to go see that.
I was there, and it's pretty badass.
Yeah, I want to go see that. If we can throw in an eagle and a hawk and stuff with it, that'd be like extra.
As long as you don't have to eat fermented mare's milk and boiled sheep eyes and marmot, you're just fine.
I'll do it. I'll pretend that I like
You'll
it.
lose weight and puke. How about Colorado politics? Not the newspaper.
Divided. Divided and more so disconnected.
And then the last one is, what does Colorado need to sustain wildlife management and its natural resources?
Science-based wildlife management.
Cool. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
We'll have continued conversations because we can't get rid of each other. So this is a update of Through the Gates, and we're filling some things in, and Sean is going to do some editing on some of these things. We appreciate you guys following us, but this is a candid conversation with Jenny Burby with the Colorado Outfitters Association, and we're going to continue to try to gain some additional information and gather some additional content over the course of the next several weeks and months. We'll be in some different locations, so we're going to have some good conversations. But share, subscribe, like, follow us, and hopefully we can provide the content to you guys that you're looking for. So another edition of Through the Gates. Jenny Burby, thank you very much.
Thank you. And show up to a commission meeting. We'll save a seat.
Good final.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Through the Gates. For more content like this, make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe on all of our channels.